Hello Year 2, it's Miss Addy. Our learning question for maths today asks us, can I compare different lengths? Our steps to success say, I can measure and record the lengths of different objects. I can locate the objects with the longest length and shortest length. And I can compare each object's length using the language longer than and shorter than. Our first star word is the word length, which we've been learning about this week. We also have the word measure, because we are measuring the length of objects. We have the star word centimetre, and in brackets in red it says cm, which is short for centimetre, and this is a unit of measurement when we are measuring length. We also have the words longer, shorter, longest, shortest, and these are words we use to compare length. Can you remember what length is? Length is a measure of the longest side of an object. To find the length, we need to measure. Earlier on in the week, we learnt about standard units of measurement and non-standard units of measurement. Pause the video quickly to discuss what you can remember about each of those. Standard units of measurement are units of measurement that we would normally use to measure objects with. So we would normally measure an object in centimetres or in metres, and we could do that using a ruler, a tape measure or a metre stick. Non-standard units of measurement are units of measurement that we do not usually use to measure objects in. So things like paper clips and cubes and sweets, because we would not typically use these things to measure objects with. How would you measure a pencil? We could measure the pencil and we would record its length. What would we record its length in? M for metres, cm for centimetres, or km for kilometres. What do you think? cm. We would measure the length of a pencil and record its length in centimetres. We could record that using a ruler. But how would we measure the length of an elephant? In m for metres, cm for centimetres, or mm for millimetres? What do you think? We would record an elephant's length in m for metres, because we know there are 100 centimetres in 1 metre, and an elephant is much larger, much longer than 1 metre. When we describe objects' lengths, we can use adjectives to describe them. We could use the words tall and short. So the giraffe is tall and the tortoise is short. We could also use the words long and short, because the first worm is very long and the second worm is short. Today we are comparing lengths and heights. If we compare the lengths of two objects, then we can add er to the end of the word. This snake is long, but this snake is longer. Adding er has helped me compare the lengths of the snakes. Long, longer. If we compare the lengths of more than two objects, we can add est to the end of a word. The first snake is long. The second snake is longer. The third snake is the longest. If we compare the heights of two objects, then again we can add er to the end of that word. This tree is tall, but this tree is taller. If we compare the heights of more than two objects, we can add est to the end of the word. Tallest. The first tree is tall, the second tree is taller, The third tree is the tallest. To compare lengths or to find which object is longer or shorter than another, the objects must start at the same place. This is very important when we're comparing lengths. So see both of these pencils, they are both having the same starting point. This means that when we compare their lengths, it will be fair. All of these animals are being compared from the same starting point so that it is fair. All of these plants are being compared from the same starting point so that we can compare their heights fairly. Have a look at these three pencils, pencil A, pencil B and pencil C. Which pencil is the longest? That's right, pencil C is the longest. We don't need to actually measure, we can compare by seeing. Which pencil is the shortest? Pencil B is the shortest. Again, we can compare just by looking at them. Describe the length of pencil A. So have a look at pencil A. We know it's not the longest and we know it's not the shortest. So how else could we describe it? Pencil A is longer than pencil B, but shorter than pencil C. We can use special symbols in maths to help us compare numbers, amounts and sizes. You might have used these before. Can you have a guess which symbols I'm talking about? Well done if you got it correct. The greater than symbol and the less than symbol. These symbols are used in maths to help us compare numbers, amounts and sizes. We can use these symbols to help us compare the lengths of objects. The length of the car is than the length of the dog. Which of those symbols do you think I'll be using? The length of the car is greater than the length of the dog? Or the length of the car is less than the length of the dog? The length of the car is greater than the length of the dog, and we've used this symbol to show that. And that is because the car's length is longer than the dog's length. The length of the pencil is than the length of the table. Again, which one of these two symbols do you think we should use? The length of the pencil is less than the length of the table, and this is because the pencil has a much shorter length than a table. The height of the giraffe is than the height of the child. Which one of these two symbols should we use to compare their heights? The height of the giraffe is greater than the height of the child, and that's because the giraffe's height is much longer than the child's height. The height of the house is than the height of the London Eye. Which of these two symbols should we use to compare both of the buildings' heights? The height of the house is less than the height of the London Eye, and that is because the house's height is much shorter compared to the London Eye's height. This is your task for today, Year 2. Below, there are some sentences with a missing phrase in between. You need to compare the objects by using the phrases longer than and shorter than. So the first one says, a pencil is than a cat. You need to decide if you need to write longer than or shorter than in between. You could even challenge yourself to using the greater than and less than symbols to compare their lengths or compare their heights. And a special challenge today, you can pick your own objects in your house or at the school and compare their lengths using the phrases longer than and shorter than. And can you think of 2 objects that are of equal length? Enjoy your task today, Year 2. Goodbye.